But let's just assume, again, we're back at that $5 million mark. We're getting ready to build out kind of our first really structured work center for service. What does that look like? Like, what do you want to see in that group? You know, how do you want to have that structure? How do you escalate? Just generally, like, and we don't have to get into specifics, you know, as far as the exercise, but just an idea of kind of like, what do you want to see there?
For me, there's a couple of factors in play, and it's kind of like what you said. A $5 million service desk will look a lot different than a $12 million service desk, and so on and so forth. Right? So there are some key questions you have to ask yourself. Like, first, what resources do I have? Like, what sort of talent do I have? The second one for me is, what clients do I have? Right? Because whether or not I have, let's say I'm mostly in the medical field, right? That escalation procedure or, you know, things like that may be different than if I'm in a heavy property management vertical or if I'm disparate across multiple industries. But if we're just going on simplicity, right, for me, you've got your tier one or whatever we used to call them, first responders. You've got those people, and those are going to be your frontline folks that are answering the phones, right? Those are your interrupted people. Now, those people will also work, you know, we call them scheduled tickets, but those are tickets that aren't coming in from phone calls or other interruptive media like chat or whatever. So you've got those people, they are your gatekeepers. And really the key here is you need to make sure that their processes, like those processes for me, those are the most important processes you have, because first you want to empower those people to confidently be able to support their systems. But more importantly, is you're going to have some more expensive and more experienced resources behind them, your tier 2 and your tier 3, that are going to be escalated to. And what you don't need is those first tier people that are just learning. You don't need them escalating issues that they can very easily solve. So that's going to come back to, you need to make sure that your documentation and your SOPs are tight, but you're going to have your pod, you know, you're going to have escalation points within that. And those escalation points, like, those things, and I really can't stress this enough, those escalation points need to be hard and fast, right? And it's really, in my opinion, it's about getting the right resource to do the right job. If you've got your tier 3 person working on, you know, a desktop printer issue, then your escalation practice, something went wrong, right? And
let me dive into a few things that you said there, right? Because there was a lot to unpack. You went down the road with, you're definitely going to have tier 1. You got escalation resources above that tier 1. And then you started to talk about a pod. Would you consider a $5 to $7 million MSP like a single pod type solution, knowing that at some point you might, and when we talk about a pod, it's a containerized service delivery team within the service desk. Then you might have a second pod, right? And then, kind of, let's talk about the evolution of what you understand service desk to do over time as it begins to grow. So you get past 5 to 7 million and you start getting to the point where you've got 12, 15 people on your service desk. When does it make sense to start splitting it into groups and creating these pods? And what are your thoughts around how do you do that and why would you do it?
So there's a lot of reasons to do it. Now, for me, if you're talking about, you were in this specific scenario, you were talking about 12 and 15 people. I don't think you should have a pod that big. In my opinion, you want to keep that to 6-ish people. You want to keep that smaller, right?
6 to 8, right? So that we can maintain managerial control over. So span of control for a manager is really important. You don't want to have more than 8 people reporting to a single person at any given time, because you want them to be able to do like stand-ups, one-on-ones, direct interaction with the people on their team, so that these KPIs that we've been talking about can be adhered and we can celebrate wins and we can do that sort of thing. So I agree with you 100%. I feel like that 6 to 8 number is really the critical component so that you don't have somebody that's overburdened as a manager and inefficient.